much, everyone, for joining us on the launch of Nancy Allen's second beautiful book that she has put into the world, The Decision to Start. Okay, so I will be running the event tonight. My name is Morgan Bars. I'm with Wingwoman Brands, and I support Nancy's personal brand. And I've worked with her all throughout this second book launch of hers. And I can truly vouch for her on a personal level how amazing this experience has been to truly watch these 25 women come together in a community over the past year, share their tips, their experiences, and truly lend that helping hand back to support those women making the transition. So, Nancy previously did publish The Decision to Scale, which you will see this book right here. The Decision to Scale supports those women who are already entrepreneurs and who are looking to truly scale, like it's in the title, and grow their business. But this book in particular, especially coming out of a year like 2020, coming out of COVID, a lot of women are looking to make that transition. And this book, The Decision to Start, supports those corporate women who want to go from employee to employer and start their own business. So we'll start tonight off with an exclusive question and answer with Nancy, and we will roll right into a panel that Nancy will moderate herself with a few of the women who are going to share their experience tonight. They're featured in the book, and you'll get to hear from them live. So, Nancy, it is such a pleasure to introduce you. I'm sure many of our panelists and our audience members are familiar with your work, but those who are tuning in who are outside of your network, Nancy is an international speaker and expert on all things women in business. She brings over 30 years of experience to this particular topic. And I'm going to read a bit from her bio right here. As president and CEO of the Women's Business Enterprise Council of Florida, which is a certifying agency of the Women's Business Enterprise National Council, she leads a team of staff members, sponsors, partners, and women business leaders who are dedicated to certifying, connecting, and championing women in business. She also says that her personal motto is connections, creativity, and courage in all endeavors, which I am sure you will see shine through tonight in our conversation. So, Nancy, welcome to your book launch.
I am so excited. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to, share this book with the world. I'm really, really happy to have this opportunity, not only to engage with you, Morgan, to answer some questions, but also to participate as a moderator for a panel. There are four of the women that are featured in the book with us, so we'll have a good time having them answer some really important questions to hopefully inspire women who are trying to decide whether or not business ownership is for them, to inspire them to say yes, it is.
Well, and you bring, like I said, over 30 years of experience to this topic. So, what originally inspired you to get involved with supporting women owned businesses?
Mm-hmm. So, Morgan, I think that I have always equated business ownership with flexibility and financial independence, right? And I grew up in the 70s, and I remember the barriers that were in front of women in the 1970s. I remember really clearly when my mom tried to buy her first house. She had to go to 3 different banks before she actually got the mortgage. The first bank she went to was where she actually had her savings account. And the bank officer, when she got there, the bank officer said, "Where's your husband?" When she said she was there for a loan. And she said, I'm divorced. I don't have a husband. And he literally just stood up and said, "We're not lending you any money. You're not married." She went to a second bank, and the same thing. They asked her, "Where's your husband?" And she said, she lied, and she said she was a widow, because she thought maybe, I didn't get the loan because I said I was divorced. And, back then in the 1970s, divorce wasn't as common. And again, the answer was no, we're not lending to you. You have no husband. And the third bank she went to, the bank officer said, "Do you have a brother?" And she said, "I do, but he lives in Puerto Rico." And he said to her, "If you get your brother to come, we'll lend him the money for the house." So after much hemming and hawing, she called her brother, And he said, yes, he would come and sign the papers. So every month, this was way before, email and all, every month we would go to the post office with my mom, and she sent an airmail envelope to her brother in Puerto Rico saying, I made the payment, thank you very much. And 5 years later, when she wanted to sell the house, he had to come back. He had to fly into Miami from Puerto Rico to sign the papers. So my mom always says that she has purchased 3 homes in her lifetime, but actually only owned 2, because that very first one was not in her name. And I think that really marked me, and I'll share with you 25 years or so ago, when my son was in kindergarten, they had a career day at his school. And the teacher asked the children, what does your daddy do for a living? And Mark said, my dad's a dentist. And there were not very many working moms at Mark's school. So she couldn't say, what does your mommy do for a living? She said, how does your mommy spend her day? And at the time, I was already working for the Women's Business Development Council of Florida, quite a mouthful for a 5-year-old. And so Mark kind of looked up and he said, my mommy spends her day in the company of women. And I thought, wow, yes, I get to spend my day in the company of women. And that is, what I've been doing for the past 30 or so years, is advocating on behalf of women business owners and seeing about giving them access so that they could really, have the flexibility and the ability to grow, to employ people, and to be really great business owners.
Wow, what a true testament to you as an individual and the support that you give all of these women-owned businesses. So why now? Why is it important now to help those women make the transition from corporate to entrepreneurship?
Mhm. Well, I think a lot of corporate women feel undervalued, right? So we all know about the glass ceiling, or we think we know about the glass ceiling, but I'm here to tell you it is a real thing, right? It actually does exist. And I've been around so many women who complain that they don't advance, they can't advance. They complain, where they'll tell stories of how they didn't get the promotion, but someone younger and male got the promotion, right? And a lot of times they'll tell me, I really wish that I had more time with my family and my kids. And I always say, well, you can do that if you start your own company, and I always get a variety of reactions. A lot of times I hear, I don't know how to do that. I'm scared that I won't be successful. And my all-time favorite is, what kind of business can I start? And I want to just look at them and say, are you kidding? You're running a multi-million-dollar, a billion-dollar division of a corporation, and you don't know what kind of business you can start? Here, let me take you on this journey with me and show you that you have every qualification and everything you need to start a business, right? So that's really why I wrote this book, is for those women who think they can't, to show them, 25 simple tips, 25 wonderfully inspiring stories that, yeah, you actually can. You have everything it takes.
And so for those women, what are a few telltale signs that they're ready to make that leap and that they're ready to make the transition?
Mhm, mhm. Well, one of the signs is that you're looking at your role in the bigger picture, right? So we have a story in the book by Andrea Ruiz Hayes. Her story is on tip number 8, all about your mission statement. And Andrea tells how she was working for Disney in the sustainability space, and she felt she was making a really big difference for Disney in sustainability. But she thought, if I can do this for Disney, I can do this for small businesses too. And that's where the greater impact is going to be, is with the smaller businesses. So if you're in that position, as you're looking at your role and how you can have a greater impact, we can help you. Another telltale sign is that you're looking for more flexibility, right? So Liz Whitehead, who's profiled in chapter 5, self-care and self-determination, she tells how she had her dream job, She was traveling internationally. She was making a really big difference for women-owned businesses internationally. And 5 years into her dream job, she was married. She had a child and another one on the way. And she just said, I can't keep this up. I can't keep traveling around the world. And I want to spend time with my kids, with my family. So she started her own company. And she says, I'm still working 10 hours a day, but I get to determine what 10 hours those are, right? Another telltale sign is you're being undervalued. And how many women are being undervalued in the role that they're playing in corporations or working for other businesses. And Terry Hall tells a really interesting story about not being given a raise she asked for and how she worked around that. And she's in chapter 19. And I really invite you to read Terry's story because it's really great. And then finally, you're ready to start your business if you've created something new. And Dr. Jacqueline Darna talks about, necessity being the mother of invention. So she designed a product because she had an issue, and she patented the idea. And the rest is history. Her product is sold all over the world, and she's affecting, the lives of millions of people. So, if you want more flexibility, you feel you can make a greater impact, you want to create something new, and you're tired of being told, no, you're not going to get a raise because you're a single woman and, I have to take care of the men in this business first, you're ready to start your own business.
Well, and I think in a lot of your content, you talk about the mindset behind getting to that point where you feel like you're truly ready to make that leap into entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
But beyond that, there's still so many challenges unique too to women entrepreneurs. So can you talk a little bit about those challenges and how you can overcome them?
Yeah, so I think the biggest challenge is limiting beliefs, right? We all have that voice in our head that says, wait, I don't think you can do that, or no, you can't, or you're too old, or whatever that voice says. And we all hear that voice. Some of us don't pay attention to that voice. Some of us pay attention to the voice. So taking care of limiting beliefs as you're deciding whether or not this is a good time for you to be an entrepreneur is really easy to do, right? I've got some exercises in the book that help you deal with those limiting beliefs. The good news is that once you deal with those and through the stories that we tell, you'll hear these women had the same trepidations, right, as you did. They overcame those and moved from, employee to entrepreneur with grace and ease. And I think that you can too.
So we are done fighting all of our gremlins, and now we're transitioning into more of the benefits of becoming the entrepreneur, which you have touched on a bit. But what have been the benefits for you that you have seen since you work so personally with so many different women-owned businesses across different industries?
Yeah, so I'd say that the biggest benefit, obviously flexibility, right? We talked about that. Impact is another really big benefit. And people want to know that what they do in the world has an impact, right?
Right.
Creativity is another really big benefit. I find that women business owners are extremely creative. And then finally, the knowledge that you're making a difference in people's lives is also a really big benefit. We have business owners that we work with whose business is 20 years old and they've had the same employees for 20 years. So can you
Wow.
imagine being responsible for helping feed a family for 20 years and watching those kids grow and knowing that your business has made an impact not only to your customers but to the people that you employ. And I think that those are probably some of the best benefits of being an entrepreneur.
And for many of these women, they've spent years in corporate, they've climbed up the corporate ladder. So, what unique skills do they bring to the table that maybe they don't even notice because they're subconsciously in their own limiting beliefs?
Mhm, mhm. Well, I always like to remind people that people do business with people they know, they like, and they trust. And the really good news is that women are really good at getting people to know them, to like them, and to trust them, right? We've got great communication skills. We are able to easily establish rapport. We have great connections from our former employment, right? And I think especially many women business owners, many women in business have, really great perseverance and a winning attitude. And those things are what make for successful businesses, right? If you can establish rapport, if you can get people to trust you, and you're a really good communicator, you are really more than halfway there for all the things that you need to be a successful business owner.
Right. Well, such powerful messages tonight so far. Before I hand off the baton to you to moderate our panel tonight, in the book, you have a quote that mentions that every entrepreneur should have someone that encourages them, someone that cautions them, maybe when an idea isn't too great. Who is that person for you?
Well, I actually dedicated the book to my son, Mark Henry Allen, because he is that person for me. He's always played a very important role. He's a really great sounding board. And you know what? I think that when he told his classmates 25 years ago that I worked in the company of women, it's like he gave me some special permission, right, to do just that. And I built my career around advocating for women and access and entrepreneurship.
Well, that is amazing and such an exciting night to celebrate that community, the collaboration. Nancy, congratulations. I will be back a little bit later tonight to wrap up our event, but I am handing things over to you to moderate the panel.
Great. Thank you so much, Morgan. Well, ladies, I am so excited to have a discussion with you and to share with everyone your wisdom. First, thank you for being a part of this book. I think that it's your stories actually that make the book, right? Because the business development tools that we talk about are not unique. But the fact that you all have lent your stories and your insight to kind of give credibility and give some further information really makes a big difference. So I am going to go kind of round robin style, and I've got 5 questions to ask you. But my first question, well, first let me introduce you all, right? So Denise Merritt is with Merritt Business Solutions, and her story is in tip number 22, the more you give, the more you receive. Patty Winstanley is with Winstanley Consultants. She's tip number 12, do you need an investor or a loan? Lourdes Mola is with Lourdes Mola Solutions, and hers is the first tip of the book. Before you begin, ask yourself these 12 questions. And Bev Jennings with C Company is tip number 23 is where you'll find her story on how to create customer journey maps. So welcome, ladies. And again, thank you so much for being here. So I'm going to start off with Denise, and I'm going to ask you, what was your previous corporate role and what do you do now?
Hi, everyone. Nancy, thank you so much for allowing me to be here and be a part of this exciting adventure with you with the launching of your book. So I started off as an HR client services manager for Paychex Business Solutions back in my early 20s. And then from there, I moved into a business consultant role for various different PEOs, including Paychex Business Solutions. And after that, I became a district sales coordinator with Aflac, having about 20 different agents under me. And it was from there I moved into my own business, which is Merritt Business Solutions. And we are an HR advocate for small to medium businesses, doing everything from co-employment to payroll to full employee benefits offering and more. So that's who I am, and I'm excited to be here.
Great, thank you, thank you. And Patty, how about you? What was your previous role, and what do you do now?
I actually came out of the education world. So I was working with the school district. I had over 125 special education students to teach reading to. At the same time, I was the department chair and the state texting coordinator. So it was a pretty big job, and lots of hours, plus all the paperwork that you have to do for those 125 special ed students. So I looked up one day and we had a house in Florida that blew away in a hurricane, and I had to replace the business with a business. And I thought, if I'm going to work this hard, I can do it there. So I actually stayed in education through a company called Aztec Promotional Group. We just worked with lots of school districts on protecting their brands and on all their collegiate licensing. So then I sold that company and ended up with Win Stanley Consultants, doing exactly what I love doing, which is working with other businesses to help them grow. And I want to say thank you to Nancy and Diane and Liz, and there's all sorts of people on this call that helped me make that decision and moving that steps forward.
Great, great, great. And Lourdes, how about you? What were you doing before and what are you doing now?
Nancy, thank you so much. It's super exciting. So I've been in corporate America for about 30 years. My last 20 was spent at the Walt Disney Company. There I came to launch Disney Cruise Line. So I worked in operations. I did all the marketing for Fairy Tale Weddings, director of sales for resorts, minority business development, public affairs, corporate citizenship, community relations. So it spans 20 years of a lot of different experiences. So when I decided to leave in my 20th year, I decided to take all of those tools in my toolkit and help businesses that wanted to grow their footprint into Central Florida. So I utilize everything that I've had with the last 30 years. And it's been exciting. You know, you said, Nancy, some of the reasons, the benefits of having your own business. And besides what you mentioned, I span so many different industries that I love, that I'm learning so much myself. So, through research and everything, I've learned so much about different industries, technology, real estate, CPA firms, so I'm enjoying it. And I love to see these businesses grow right here in my hometown of Central Florida.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. And I think one of the things you mentioned in your story, Lourdes, is how you really took advantage of all of those opportunities. Right? All the different roles that you had to learn something new, and you really took advantage of that, and you brought all of that together. And I think that that's a really good thing for someone who is looking at some point starting their own business. Start amassing knowledge, right? Start applying for different positions where you're at. Gain the experience on someone else's dime, as they say, right? And then you can bring all that to bear in your own business.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely.
Bev, how about you? What were you doing, and what do you do now?
Thanks so much for having all of us here, and congratulations on your book number 2. I know it will benefit a lot of women and beyond. So thank you very much. So my previous role, I was the head of global supplier diversity and inclusion for Johnson & Johnson. That was my final role in J&J. Prior to that, I held various roles in the supply chain throughout J&J over my 32 years. I also worked in retail with JCPenney Company prior to that, and the Sara Lee Corporation. What I am doing now, besides having the time of my life, I founded C Company, which stands for See Everyone Elevate, and we advise, coach, and consult with businesses to help them grow their business. I have a services business, and we are launching a product business in about a month. So stay tuned, because we will be sharing some information on that very soon. I've really enjoyed this first year, and just looking forward to more.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I remember in your story, Bev, how you said that your path to business ownership has been a long time coming, right? I think you actually had the name of your company for over 10 years. And when the time was right, you kind of set things in motion. And I think that's really good advice for women who are thinking to go into business, is that you don't have to decide today that I'm going to start a business and then, tomorrow you open your doors, right? You can kind of be noodling this idea, and like Lourdes, like the ladies on this call, kind of set the path so that when the time is right, you've got some things already in place. And through the book, that's what we're helping you to do, is to consider all the things that you need to have in place. So the book is divided into 3 sections. There's a personal development section, which is all about mindset and getting ready. There's a company development section where we talk about all the things you have to have in place to actually form a company that's ready to go. And then finally, there's a business development section where we talk about how you can get new clients, how to hire people, all the things that you need to do to actually grow your business once it's set up. So my second question for you ladies is, what was your biggest hesitation at the time about making the transition, and how did you get past it? And Patty, I'm going to start with you. So what was your biggest hesitation?
I think the transition that I would like to talk about now is not going from my previous role into Aztec, but going from Aztec Promotional Group to Winstanley Consultants, because I had 100 employees. I had 4 locations. I had the big production machines, and I had clients all over, including in Europe, and Canada. And so I'm a people person. Those of you that know me, my nickname is the Connectinator. And although I need to share that with Nancy. And so that was the biggest thing for me, is did I want to give all that up? Because I had personal relationships, as you said earlier, with my employees and their families, and had watched them for years, and also with my clients. So my daughter-in-law and son, my daughter-in-law offered to buy my shares, and I just said yes. But it was very hard. It was very hard to figure out how to do it, except what I did was I took everything that I loved about what I was doing, and that one piece, connecting people, and then brought it back into what I'm doing now. So I think the hardest part of it was leaving, going from 100 employees to me. However, when COVID happened and I didn't have 100 employees, it wasn't that hard. It was really much, my life was like, oh yes. So although I still cared about them and I still tried to help. But this has just been so much fun. And I've known some of you for a very long time, and it's so much fun to watch Bev, because she was always Bev J&J. So now she's Bev C Company. So I'm glad to hear that.
Great. And I think that one of the greatest things about your success, Patty, is how you connect people, right? So over the years, you were really involved through your former company with WeBank, established some incredible relationships, right? That now you can show women, this is how you establish relationships, and let me help you get your foot in the door, which is always very, very important.
Great. A lot of fun.
Good. So Bev, how about you? What was your biggest hesitation at the time of making the transition, and how did you get past it?
Yeah, I think you mentioned it. I actually wanted to start C Company about 10 years before I finally retired from Johnson & Johnson. I reflect on that, and I chose J&J. I made a decision that I would delay the start of my business, that I would have time for it later, because I felt that I was needed more where I was at the time. And because of that, I benefited so much, because I met so many wonderful people over that 10-year period. Timing is everything. And I wanted it to be the right timing with the right people in the right place. I was also transitioning from New Jersey back to Florida. So that in itself was quite a transition. So I did have some hesitation because I felt that I needed to be very deliberate. And I also wanted to begin to work on my brand. You know, branding is hard work. And I wanted to be very purposeful on my mission and what C Company would stand for and what we would not be involved in. Sometimes it's harder to make a decision about what you won't do rather than what you will do. And so through those choices, I feel that we've been able to navigate very deliberately and we're making a difference. And at the end of the day, that's really what we wanted to do, is to make that difference.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Denise, how about you? What was your biggest hesitation at the time for making the transition, and how did you get past it?
Yeah, I think you really hit on it earlier, actually, Nancy. So I say my biggest hesitation was myself. That could I really do this by myself? The PEO world, professional employee organizations, or co-employment, that I was starting out in as a PEO broker is an unknown industry. You know, people don't know it. I researched being a PEO broker and found that most of them were small businesses, that they were either partners or a husband and wife team. Well, my wife is very happy when her own career passed, so I knew it was just going to be me doing this. And so that was probably my biggest hesitation, kind of like what Patty shared. I'm a people person. I need people and energy around me. So the way I moved past it was by surrounding myself with good people. So I was part of a networking group before in previous jobs. And I went back to that networking group, even though I knew, I was like, I don't care if I get a single referral from this group. I'm going here because I know the people in this group will encourage me and support me, and they believe in me, and they'll build me up. And just that value alone was worth rejoining that group. But I also did things like join WeBank and become a certified woman-owned business, and join the NGLCC and become an LGBTQ certified business owner, to surround myself with good people and good resources. And that's really how I got through my hesitation. So thank you.
Yes, that's some really great advice too. So a lot of times, you know, you start off as a solopreneur, and if you've been working for a corporation or a large business, you have been surrounded by a bunch of people, right? And you had a marketing department, or you had you know, people who did procurement for you, or whatever it was. And then to find yourself, just you and a desk and a computer, and OMG, I'm the one who's responsible for business development, customer relations, product development, you know, all of those things, hiring and firing. It can be a little daunting, right? The really good news, as Denise has said, is that there's some great organizations out there for you to join. WeBank is, you know, top in helping women bridge the gaps, and in providing training, providing support and networking. And, you know, you will never be in such great company as you are when you are with other women business owners, right? And we always talk about working in your business or working on your business. And the key is that you need to work on your business, not in your business, right? One of my favorite authors is Simon Sinek, and a great book of his is called The Infinite Game. And he profiles, I think it's Lori Richardson, who was the highest ranking naval officer at the time of her retirement. And he asked her, you know, what are the characteristics of great leaders? And she said, great leaders look up and out, and they hire people to look down and in. So as you're building your business, you want to remember that you are the visionary. Right now, you know, when you first start out, you may be everything to everyone, but ultimately a successful business owner is the one who's always got her eye on what's next. Right. So thank you for sharing that. And Lourdes, how about you? What was your biggest hesitation at the time of transition?
So my story is a little different. When I left Disney, it wasn't to start my own company. I left because I needed to spend more time with my children. My mother had passed away. My father-in-law had passed away suddenly. So within 6 months, my kids had lost both of their grandparents. So like I told my boss at the time, you know, I love my job, but I love my family more. So I 3 months, I gave a 3-month notice, and I decided that I was going to transition to being stay-at-home mom. Well, that didn't last long. I had a couple of big companies, local companies, call to see if I would do some consulting work for them. So I told them, I said, I promised my kids I would spend the whole summer with them. And then if you're still interested, come, September when school starts, I would love to do the consulting for you. So my transition is twofold, right? First, it was I transitioned to being somewhat short, but being a stay-at-home mom, to then starting the company. I realized, you know what, if they're interested in me, maybe I do have something to give. So, I had that voice like everybody else thinking, well, what can I teach people? Even though I had all these different opportunities to speak to women entrepreneurs through my role, I'm like, I don't know what I could do on my own. So it's been a ride. It's been, reimagining myself, and bringing all these, I have a great board of directors, and I encourage this to every woman. You should have a group of people that are going to tell you the way it is. You don't want people all over that say yes, yes, yes. You're going to have your people that will tell you, no, this is not going to work. So it's been a gift, and I feel blessed to have made those transitions.
Right, beautiful. And that is a really great reminder, Lourdes. Thank you. It's never too early to have a board of advisors, right? Or if you don't want to set up a formal board of advisors, an accountability group, a group who is going to help you see what you don't see. I used to work with a coach a while ago, and she would tell us, you can't see, excuse me, you can't see the label of the jar you're in. Sometimes it takes somebody else to help you see what strengths you have, and to help you kind of understand, okay, if you move this way, this is what's going to happen, or what could happen. So yeah, very, very good advice. So now my third question for you ladies is, in what ways is owning your own business different from what you thought it would be like? So Bev, I'm going to start with you for that question.
Yeah, so I guess I actually thought that it would be lonely, and I thought I would feel a sense of disconnection, having been so connected to so many people. We all know about that, thousands of business owners, and then you're in an organization with 130,000 employees, and you're working globally, and you're used to all of these touch points. And then all of a sudden, it's you and your small team. And I actually thought that I would feel a sense of loneliness with that, but quite the contrary. It's actually been so much better than I thought, because of the sense of freedom, the freedom to innovate, the freedom to foster new relationships. It's so easy to depend on the relationships that you have, and I definitely still lean into those. But I'm really pleased with the new people who have come into my life, and how I have spread my wings, and also my team, and that's exciting for me. So I would say that was different than I thought it would be, and I'm really happy about that.
Great, thank you. Patty, how about you? In what ways is what you're doing now different than what you thought it might be?
Well, in my first company, when I left the education world, I honestly thought that I would leave that school on November 30th and be back on September 1st. And all of a sudden I looked up and I was like, what happened to my summer vacation? Wait a minute, I don't have that anymore. That's not automatic. So, but for this company, I think it's sort of the same thing that Bev said. I was so used to being around so many people and having so many employees that depended on me. And, I remember the first time that I went to, some of us work on a conference called Go for the Greens together. And I remember getting off the plane in Orlando to go over to Disney to the hotel and thinking, oh, I've got to call. And then I realized I didn't have to call anybody. It was just me. And so And so I think it was really more that, and then also taking the steps to move into different industries, because I'm working with several healthcare clients, and they're all PhDs and, you know, formal administrators of big hospital systems and things. And so that was an area that was a little scary to me at first, but it's one that I'm really enjoying. So I think anytime you do something different than what you're used to, I think it's a little bit of a step. But when you have people that encourage you, like, I wish I could see who was in the audience. I don't know, because I've named people that have helped me, but there are probably more and I just don't know it. But again, my Go for the Greens network and my WeBank network has been incredible. And at the same time that I sold my company, I moved from Austin to Dallas. So it was just all of a sudden like everything changed. So that was it, but it's pretty good. I like it.
Good, good. Thank you for sharing. Lourdes, how about you? What's different than what you thought it was going to be?
Well, when I would speak to a lot of business owners, they used to tell me that they do everything from A to Z. You know, they're their own accountants, their own technology, their own. So when I started, I thought I had to do all this myself. And I learned very quickly to outsource. And that has been my saving grace, because there's things I just don't do well. I'm not an accountant, you know, so learning, you know, have somebody else do that for you. That's not my skill set. I don't want to spend my time doing that. The other thing is technology. You know, hire an expert. That's what they do, and we're supporting each other, right, when we do that. So I think that the key, what I found is I don't have to do it all myself, and really soar with my strengths. So, and you know, like Bev said, you know, I don't know why people make it sound like it's so lonely to be an entrepreneur, and it's not. It's not. I don't know if because I love social gathering. It's not. I have things to do, you know, every day. So, so I'm enjoying, you know, I think, you know, your book is probably going to say all of this and more, but I encourage every woman out there to really look at where she is in her life. And if this is a step that you're willing to take, do it, because my hesitation was that I didn't do it soon enough. So
Great advice. Thank you.
my 2 cents.
And then Denise, how about you? In what ways is owning your business different from what you thought it would be like?
Thanks. So I've worked with small businesses and business owners my whole career. So I was prepared for many of the things, but I'd have to say that for me, what I found different was the passion for my business. So I've always been passionate about helping businesses and employees, whether it was working for a PEO or for Aflac, but the motivation and passion to do well and create something stays with me every day I wake up now, because it's my business, it's my name, my reputation, but also the pressure of that. So I know as a woman-owned business, as a LGBTQ plus owned business, that I need not only to be successful, but to be wildly successful. And that my business has to be beyond reproach because the world's watching. So those were my 2 things, the passion for my business, and then also the pressure to be successful.
Very, very good advice. And I think that when we go into something with our eyes wide open, that's the best way to do it, right? To understand there might be this, there might be that, and to know that there are resources to help you with this or that. My next question is, what has been your favorite memory or biggest success since you left corporate? So Patty, I'm going to start with you. What has been your favorite memory or biggest success since you branched out to being an entrepreneur?
Gosh, I think that I've been able to stay in touch with so many people that I worked with before, and just I don't feel like I've lost any of my connections. And so I feel like that's been a really big part of how I've moved forward. And Nancy, this really doesn't have anything to do with the question, but I have to tell you one thing, that in 2010, I tried to get a loan for a piece of equipment, and I was told that my children had to sign because they were minor owners in the company and they were freshmen in college.
Wow.
So going back to that. So that is one thing that I don't miss is that, but just, I think just being able to keep in touch with everybody and keep my networks going and has helped me.
Mhm. Beautiful.
Forward, yeah.
And Bev, how about you? What has been your favorite memory or biggest success?
Well, this will sound like a very small thing to most of you, but my favorite memory is that, and this happened just a few months ago, and maybe it's because of the pandemic and the fact that we were all staying in for so long. But one of my clients, they have offices in New Jersey, but also in the Tampa, St. Pete area. One of my clients, who happens to be a woman-owned business that I've known for many, many years, um, she and her team drove from Tampa, St. Pete to Jacksonville to take me to lunch, to thank me for doing a great job with them. And I have to tell you, that was so meaningful for me. When I think how many lunches and how many dinners that I've had with suppliers, I tell you, there was such a special meaning for a client, someone I respect and have known for so long and admire, to take the time out of her busy schedule to do that. It meant so much to me. It really did. So I would say that's been my favorite memory.
Mhm. What a beautiful and kind gesture, and what a great gift she's given you
Yes.
in that memory. That's wonderful. Denise, how about you? What has been your favorite memory or your biggest success?
To go with the memory on this one too. So the end of our second year. So first year it was really just me, and then I hired my COO, Jessica Marisoni, who's now, and then we had had an intern also that was working with us. And so we got an easel out and we a big notepad, and so it was the end of the year meeting, and we were recapping everything we had done for the year. So we just started writing, and then the list just kept getting longer and longer. And we were like, by the end of it, we stepped back and we were like, wow, we did all of that in 1 year. And it was just such a great feeling of accomplishment and of gratitude and of look at what we can do if we put, our minds together and work together to get stuff done. And that's probably been my best memory. So thanks.
And that is a really great best practice, right? To do that at the end of the year. And I always suggest that you actually do that on a quarterly basis, right? So celebrate your success on a quarterly basis and watch how with your team, they will become more productive and more creative because they're going to want to continue, celebrating successes every quarter. So thanks for that. And Lourdes, how about you? What has been your favorite memory or your biggest success?
So this was really hard for me because, just getting, as a woman business owner, just getting everything up and running to me is celebrating the success. But I would have to say, looking at my clients' growth, taking an example, King Service Solutions, it's a commercial cleaning company that we have here. When I started working with them, they had 130 employees. They're now up to 600 employees. Through the pandemic, we were able to shift and go into healthcare, which they always did hospitality. So, just to see the growth and, of the owners, it's a woman business owner, that is exciting to me. And that is what gets me up in the morning. That's what jazzes me. That's why I'm here, is to see these businesses grow like that. So that's my
thanks for sharing that, Lourdes, because we always talk about the importance of being servant leaders, right? That women business owners are really great at that category of leadership, the service, and the giving back. And for a lot of people, it may not be as big as what you described in this incredible success of yours, but every little bit counts, right? the difference that we make in one person's life by employing that person, by keeping that person employed through the pandemic, the difference that we make in, you know, the lives of the people in our communities when we give back, and women are really good at giving back to their communities. So yes, I'm all about celebrating success and reminding ourselves why it is we started this, right? It's all about the people and it's all about service. So my final question for the four of you is, if you could go back in time and give yourself a few words of encouragement or advice, what would you say? Would you have done anything differently? Lourdes, how about we start with you?
Absolutely. So I think what I would say to myself is, what are you waiting for? That's probably what I would say. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I wish I would have thought about starting a business way earlier in my life. I have my daughter now in college, and my son is 16, and I feel like I missed out on so many things, by with work and the constant travel. So what I would have done differently is I probably would have planned a little better. Like I said, I didn't plan on starting a business. It just happened. I tell people all the time now, plan, but I didn't take my advice. So I would have planned for it. I would have done a business plan, as a side hustle while I was working. I would have been a little bit more, probably put together is probably the right word. I mean, things happen and it's great, and by God's hand in everything that I did, but it could have been smoother if I would have had the plan, right? People don't plan to fail; they fail to plan. I didn't plan.
Well, this book is going to help all those people to really start thinking about what it is they need to do, and not be caught off guard or surprised. Bev, how about you? If you could go back in time and give yourself a few words of encouragement or advice, what would you say?
Yeah, it's actually one of my favorite quotes, and I actually created this quote. I used it on a flight for a young mother who was returning to work after being away, and she was struggling a bit. It was the first time she'd been away from her baby, and she was in tears, and I was trying to find something to make her feel better. And I said to her, and I use this now myself very often, I said, it's not about perfection. It's about moving in a positive direction. And she said, wow, who said that? I said, I did. And so I get to tell myself that when I wake up in the morning and I look at all the things that I have ahead of me for the day, and I wake up with so much energy, maybe because it is my own company, is that I remind myself that small steps can make a big difference. And it's not about perfection, because as women, we tend to want to be perfectionists, but it's really about movement, positive movement. And I would say what I would do differently as I reflect on the startup of the business, but even in my corporate professional experience, and I will use this going forward, I think I would just listen more. And that is something that I am practicing more and more, because it's amazing what little gems you can uncover when you listen.
When you listen, yes. And when you intentionally listen, right?
Yes.
And to your quote about progress, one of my business coaches also used to say, you can't turn a parked car, right? So if you're just sitting in the same spot and you're trying to see where it is you should be going or whatever, you can't turn a parked car. You have to be moving, right? And it's that momentum. So thanks for sharing that great quote. Patty, how about you? If you could go back in time and give yourself a few words of encouragement or advice, what would you say? And would you have done anything differently?
Like Bev, I would listen more. I would learn more. There were always programs that we had in my previous business that I would say, I'm gonna go back and learn how to do that program, or I'm gonna learn more about whatever it was, and I never did. I would pay myself and pay more attention to myself, which is something that women business owners don't do. And I would encourage myself more like I do, like I encourage others. Because I think as business owners, we get caught up so much and we've got to do this and we've got to do that. And we just don't, we forget to encourage ourselves.
Beautiful. Great advice. Thank you. And Denise, how about you? If you could go back in time and give yourself a few words of encouragement or advice, what would you say? Would you have done anything differently?
Okay, thanks. And Patty, I love what you just said about encouraging yourself. So that's wonderful. So I'm going to share a few things too that I actually, that resonated with me recently from a WeBank Zoom meeting I was on. And these are all kind of quotes or things, but I thought they would be great for this. So one is to believe in yourself. You know, you have to believe in yourself. The next is stay at the edge of your discomfort. So we always have, somebody earlier said, we always need to be growing. You know, you have to be learning something or growing. So be willing to stage at the, or stay at the edge of your discomfort, you know, and to push yourself. Be willing to fail and to take a chance. You know, so as entrepreneurs, that's probably one of the biggest things. Many entrepreneurs get stuck because they're not willing to take that leap or that chance. Be willing to lend a hand and to take a hand. So don't be so self-focused or inner focused that you miss the opportunities to lend the hand, and don't be so prideful that you miss the opportunity to take the hand. And then just a couple more, if you'll bear with me, but dreaming big. So that goes back to, I think, what Bev was saying too about, you know, we gotta, if we don't shoot for the, you know, if you dream big, you may not reach that big goal, but you will definitely be much further than you ever would have been if you didn't dream big, right? And then the last thought is always give without remembering, and always, and receive without forgetting. So those were kind of the things that I thought that resonated that might be helpful. And then I say kind of what I believe Lourdes said this, but I would have started sooner, you know. Life kind of moved me in this direction, and I'm very loyal. So it took me a long time to let go of some of the things I was doing to have me make that leap. But if you don't be afraid and take the jump. So starting sooner.
Beautiful. And what a great way to end this portion of our event with such beautiful and meaningful quotes. And thank you so much to all of you for participating and for sharing your stories. Because as I said, you know, tools and activities, anyone can find that anywhere. But when you have the tools and the activities along with some inspiration, I think that's the icing on the cake. So thank you so much for your stories and for sharing today. And I know we'll be counting on you for some more help in promoting the book. So thank you.
And Nancy, where can we find the book at this point?
It's on Amazon, and this is what it looks like. And I see that Diane Sears is with us. So I want to give a particular shout out to Diane, because she's the editor of my books, the first and the second. And we've got plans to write a lot of others in what we're going to be calling the Decision series. So thank you, Diane. And Steph McPhee wrote the foreword, and I was just moved to tears when I read her foreword. So thank you so much, Steph.
Let's just give them a virtual little round of applause on our Zoom screens. This was absolutely incredible. Nancy, congratulations again on your launch. And if you have any questions when it comes to purchasing the book or promoting the book, I did have someone reach out to me earlier to put in a bigger order for their team. But thank you so much, everyone, for attending. Nancy, do you have any final words?
Well, I would say just do it, right? You heard many of our panelists here say that they wish they had done it sooner, and know that you are supported. You're not alone. There are great people around you who want to help. So yes, stop hesitating and start taking the steps forward.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.